If we learned anything after week 1 of the college football season, it's that you have to believe in the mullet. Anthony Della Calce's mullet, that is. 5-2 last week. Anthony, I'm shocked. Were you?
I was not shocked. I don't really understand why I suddenly have a mullet, but if that's what you say, I'll go with it. It worked last week, 5-2. I don't know about you, though. You seem to maybe need some more hair. Maybe it'll help you do better picks.
I did get a haircut this morning, but yeah, hopefully it will help me with my picks. I went 1-6. The evil one went 3-4. Obviously, us two are going to try to better ourselves this week. You're looking to stay on track for once.
I feel like I'm going to stay on track.
Well, there's no Loser Island yet here on Brad Carroll's Game Day. I wasn't the only one to have a terrible week 1. Oregon may have been even worse as they saw their national championship hopes possibly evaporate as they got destroyed by LSU. But with Oregon, you never can count out their offense. They're going to be taking on Nevada as big favorites on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to see if the Oregon offense can bounce back. One of two things is going to happen in this game. They're going to come out, Oregon, hungover from that big loss to LSU, and they're going to kind of look sluggish, or they're going to come out guns blazing right away and put up all the points that we know Darren Thomas and Michael James can put up for Oregon. I think it's going to be the latter as long as the Ducks can hold on to the ball, because turnovers was their biggest problem against LSU.
As always, turnovers kill a team. Oregon, I can see them getting back on track here. I actually think they're going to get to the 50-point mark. Nevada, they were 13-1 last year. They were a great story. Colin Kaepernick, however, is with the 49ers.
Yeah, he's not there anymore, and that makes a big difference. I see it the same way. Oregon gets to 50 points. They'll win this game 50-20.
Yeah, I have Oregon winning the game big as well. They're going to win it 52-20. Number 17, Michigan State hosts Florida Atlantic in a game all about the number. 32.5 points is that number. That's the spread Michigan State's going to have to cover. They come into this game against Florida Atlantic, a team in the midst of a 3-game stretch that's absolutely brutal. They played Florida last week, now Michigan State. Next up is Auburn. That's brutal.
Yeah, you got to give Florida Atlantic credit for being willing to play anyone, but I don't think it's going to help them too much in the win column. Michigan State, one of those ranked teams not too many people are talking about, that had a very good year last year. This will be another easy win for the Spartans. The question is, how many points will they win by?
Yeah, it's always about the number. I hate huge spreads, hate them, but that's what makes this fun. That's what we do is fun, and everybody likes it at home. Well, Michigan State struggled against Youngstown State, but do they struggle here?
I don't think they'll struggle. I just don't think they'll be able to cover the spread. I've got them winning 40-10.
That's pretty close. I got them winning 40-7. Very close. They struggled against Youngstown State, a Division I AA team. They're not going to do the same against Florida Atlantic. Saturday night in prime time is the game I'm most looking forward to. Michigan-Notre Dame, big house, under the lights. Wow, this is going to have crazy atmosphere.
Huge game for both teams.
Anthony, every time you talk, every time he comes.
Have you ever noticed he never interrupts you, he always interrupts me?
You know, I like the new changes to the show, but you guys didn't improve the worst part of the whole thing. The two hosts. Brad, shouldn't you be in your own doghouse for going against your motto of never picking Georgia? And Anthony, congrats on the winning week. Unfortunately, the viewers don't trust your business in the front, party in the back haircut. Now, on to my picks. Wisconsin, minus 21.5. Alabama, minus 10. Oregon, minus 26.5. South Carolina, minus 3. Texas, minus 7. Michigan State, minus 32.5. And my game of the week, an always overrated Notre Dame team heads into Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. I'm shocked the Irish are favored here, as they suffered an embarrassing loss at home to South Florida last week. Michigan, who had the season beat Notre Dame and South Bend, looked much improved on defense, and we all know they still have an explosive offense. The Wolverines will beat Notre Dame quite easily, 38-24.
Well, he's got a big pick there. Why do you always summon the evil one?
I don't know. If there's something I could do to figure out how to not summon him, I wish I could find that out.
Maybe it's the devilish goatee you got going on there.
And I like my goatee, and so do the ladies.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, Michigan, Notre Dame, this one's going to be an awesome matchup.
This game is certainly worthy of all the attention. It's a big game for both teams, but I'm tired of hearing the hype about Michigan playing its first game under the lights. Congratulations, Wolverines. You're doing what everyone else in football has been doing for decades, including high school football. I played under the lights in college in flag football.
Wait a minute, Anthony. You actually played flag football?
I played flag football.
Were you the center?
I caught touchdown passes, man.
I'm just as shocked as you viewers, but continue, Anthony.
Okay, thank you. Let me get back to the game here. Notre Dame obviously does not want to start out 0-2, and I know everyone's disappointed about the loss to South Florida and the Golden Domers over there, but encouraging signs for the team. They moved the ball very well, and their defense looked a lot better against a mobile quarterback. I think the defense will be able to slow down Denard Robinson a little bit, which they couldn't do at all last year. And as long as the quarterbacks don't throw to the opposing team, I think Notre Dame's going to be able to put up some points, and I think that's going to bode well for the Irish in this game.
Yeah, to pick the Irish is to pick the favorite. I'm shocked just as Craig is. I thought Michigan for sure would be the favorite, but all that means is I get to finally pick an upset. I'm going with Michigan. Denard Robinson in that offense, couldn't ask for more. The defense has stepped up as well.
Brian Kelly gets a huge win and a lot of pressure relieved. Irish 27, Michigan 23.
Well, as always, Anthony, prior to last year, you're wrong, man. Michigan 31-27 over Notre Dame. From one Big Ten school to another, number 8 Wisconsin's going to be hosting Oregon State, a team that's pretty much terrible. There's no other way to say it. They lost to Sacramento State last week. Sacramento State!
When you lose to an FCS school in your opener at home, not a good thing. Great news for Wisconsin. Expect Russell Wilson to light it up against the Beavers.
That offense is actually going to be pretty good this year. Very good. Wilson's a great quarterback. Actually spent time in the Colorado Rockies system. He's 22 years old, a man among boys situation. But what do you got as the final score?
I've got the Badgers, who I really like this year, winning this game 49-10.
Yeah, Wisconsin's going to roll their 21.5-point favorites. They're going to cover that 42-17. Next up, BYU goes into number 24 Texas in what should be an interesting battle. Texas had a huge win last week, getting over 500 yards against Rice. BYU, they had a big win as well.
Yeah, they went on the road against Ole Miss, played great defense, and rallied late to win that game. I think their defense will keep them in this game this week. Meanwhile, Texas, trying to build some momentum. They cracked the top 25 this week. They want to prove that they're back among the elite teams in college football after a disastrous season a year ago.
Yeah, last year was terrible. Coach Mack Brown made some changes on offense and defense. On offense, you saw it last week. They brought in a new offensive coordinator from Boise State. He did the job, 500 yards, but you say it's going defensive in this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a low-scoring game. Texas may pile up the points in the offensive yards in other games, but not this one. They'll still win, though, 23-13.
Yeah, I see it going that way as well. Texas, a 7-point favorite. They're going to win 38-27.
Before we get to Brad's doghouse, where he spurs his negativity about some team in particular, I'd like to talk to you in a positive manner. Tell you about the team who's going to land in our penthouse, who had the most impressive win last week. That team is Baylor, who had a great win over TCU behind the awesome play of Robert Griffith III. Watch him, watch the Bears this season. They could have an exciting year. Now, here's Brad.
The penthouse of the week? Seriously, Anthony? And what else do I expect? Anyway, here on the Doghouse, we're going to bring a little hate. But the first team in there, it's going to surprise you a little bit. It's Brad Carroll's game day. That's right, me, Brad Carroll. I'm in the Doghouse. Why? I picked Notre Dame to win, even though I said they were the most hyped team in the nation. That's embarrassing on my part. I also picked Georgia to cover. What was I thinking? So it's no surprise, I'm in the Doghouse. One other team, you know it. It's Georgia. The Bulldogs, what an embarrassing display against Boise State. Basically at home. That's a disaster. We're going to talk about Georgia right now. Back to the picks. From the Doghouse to the SEC, number 12 South Carolina goes into Georgia in a big SEC matchup. Georgia is a team that is the most consistent in the nation. Consistent for losing the biggest games they play. Oh my God, Anthony.
Yeah, I know Georgia's always in your doghouse and you're really frustrated with them when you pick them, and they're going to have a tough time with this one. South Carolina put up 56 points last week, and they started poorly in the first half. They actually trailed at halftime. I'm sure Steve Spurrier lit into his guys, but Stephen Garcia, Marcus Lattimore, I don't know if Georgia's going to be able to slow them down. They didn't have any luck against Boise State last week. This hot seat under Mark DeRick right now could be an inferno after this one's over.
I said it last week that he wouldn't last the season. It's going to continue this week. Marcus Lattimore, that's the name you got to remember. He's a beast. Who wins the game?
South Carolina, 33-28.
South Carolina, 3-point favorites on the road, but they're going to take care of business. 27-21. And finally here on game day, number 3 Alabama heads to Happy Valley to take on number 23 Penn State in the game that features 2 ranked teams, the only one of the week that does so.
Yeah, this is a huge game, an interesting early test for Alabama, who's got a lot of hype surrounding it, but some young players as well. Both Penn State and Alabama rolled over cupcakes in their opener, and really interestingly, both teams plan to play 2 quarterbacks in this game. I don't really know who that gives the edge to. It kind of frightens me. Maybe we'll see some sloppy football with two quarterbacks like that. But I think the crowd's going to play a factor in this game. Penn State's a very tough place to play at night, and especially if the Nittany Lions get off to a good start, that could not bode well for Alabama.
Yeah, this is all about the crowd early. I think Penn State's going to ride that momentum. They might even get a lead at halftime, but it's a tall task if they want to keep it.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a huge road test for Alabama, but I think they'll survive it 23-17.
Yeah, Alabama's one of the best teams in the nation. Penn State was one of the best teams in the nation. No longer. Still, this game's steeped in tradition. You got to love it. However,